on Hezbollah targets. That's what we are being told. We, of course, are waiting for images. We'll bring them to you as soon as we can, and, of course, the response as we get it. Let's continue with our analysis of the situation and bring in Filippo Donigi, who is a lecturer in politics and international relations at the University of Bristol. Filippo, thank you for joining us. We're in a breaking news scenario here with this one, as we understand that airstrikes are being carried out on the Bekaa Valley. Benjamin Netanyahu saying that Israel is at war with Hezbollah. This war is now resuming, and this at the demand of the far-right ministers Smotrich and Ben-Gvir. Give us your take on what is happening right now.
Well, I think what we're seeing is, once again, the continuation of hostilities between Israel and Hezbollah, and what it looks like is going to be another step into a possible further escalation of this conflict, which was reignited again on the 2nd of March when Hezbollah decided to retaliate for the killing of the Wali al-Faqih, the supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei, in the second round of violence initiated by President Trump and Israel against Iran. And as part of this whole process, Israel has therefore continued its attacks on Hezbollah's targets, but also killing thousands of civilians in Lebanon as a result of these aggressions, has occupied the southern parts of Lebanon, and continues to do so, and at the same time is expanding the list of targets that is pursuing with its attacks, also including the Bekaa Valley, Beirut as well on some occasions. The cities of Beirut also are constantly under the surveillance and the noise of drones, and therefore continues also as an intimidation against them. We will see what's going to be the next step. Elections are getting closer in Israel, and that's usually also something that the history of Israel marks also an instrumental use of war for the purpose of electoral interest in that sense. The real point here is also, I mean, where is this violence going to? And is it really delivering what the Israelis and what the Netanyahu government is actually trying to achieve? Is that greater security or not? It doesn't look like it's the case, in fact. 3,100
Lebanese citizens killed at least since March the 2nd, when, as you correctly point out, Hezbollah accelerated the current conflict, because whilst there has been a ceasefire, there have still been incidents that would make an ordinary person doubt whether it's a ceasefire or not, in terms of the fact that the firing hasn't actually ever fully stopped. We're now in a situation where Netanyahu is saying he's ordered an escalation of the Lebanon offensive to, as he puts it, crush Hezbollah. And in doing that, of course, it's going to really make the humanitarian situation in Lebanon far worse, and civilians will be crushed as well as Hezbollah operatives.
Exactly. I mean, I consider that not only the victims, the civilian victims are part of this, there are also more than 1 million displaced Lebanese. That is almost, about 20–25% of the Lebanese population that has been displaced from the south and is now living across the country in very precarious situation and is entirely dependent on humanitarian aid for their everyday life. And that again exacerbates the humanitarian situation of a country that is already experiencing a serious economic downturn, that is already subjected to enormous infrastructural devastation as a result of this war, and as such it continues to suffer for a conflict that doesn't look like it's ending, and it's not achieving, again, what the Israeli seems to intend to achieve at this point. So again, we are in a situation that very much mirrors what has been happening in the past months and actually years, whereas a ceasefire is only on paper in reality, and in fact attacks continue. And the result of this is that the only party in Lebanon that is actually undertaking negotiations to try to solve this situation, which is the Lebanese government and the Lebanese presidency, is undermining its legitimacy, exactly because the public perception is that they should be in charge of protecting Lebanese interest and Lebanese security. They negotiate directly. They have really risked their political capital in these negotiations with Israel at this point. But what they get in return is not credibility, is not peace and security, but in fact is a continuation of the conflict as it is. And therefore they're delegitimized. And this eventually has also the paradoxical effect of bringing greater legitimacy to the military action of Hezbollah, in a sense. And that, again, produces this cycle of violence that doesn't seem to end.
This, as you sense, this cycle of violence, this cycle of instability in Lebanon, that situation, In terms of broadening this a little bit, sort of thinking about what's happening over Iran right now, we're led to believe there's a negotiation going on to try and find some kind of peace there, some kind of truce, some kind of prolongation of non-conflict. We can take that with a pinch of salt. I think, given that there is supposed to be this closeness between the US and Israel, so much so that they went into this operation on February the 28th together. Trump and Netanyahu, supposedly the best of allies, the best of political friends, but in some way, shape or form, here now, it looks like Netanyahu is acting in one way and Trump perhaps didn't know about it, didn't know about it. What do you think the situation is? Give us your take.
Exactly. There seems to be light between Netanyahu and the president of the United States in that sense, because the Israelis are pursuing a maximalist objective here. They want to destroy Hezbollah. They don't care about the political, economic, social consequences that this may have for Lebanon. They have already made a comparison between the situation in Lebanon and the situation in Gaza, just to give you a sense of what the kind of thinking that is behind this, at the strategic level. On the other hand, the Iranians have said that for them there will not be a truce, a peace, or whatever, a deal, whatever you want to call it, with the United States until when Lebanon is part of that process. That's also a kind of reassurance that they claim to have given to Naim Qassem, the head of Hezbollah, in that sense. So they bundled the whole Lebanese situation together with a deal with the United States. The Israelis possibly are not very happy about this because they want to pursue the total destruction and disarmament of Hezbollah, whatever they want to call it as such. And therefore, a suspension of hostilities between Iran and the United States, a truce or a peace deal, would be an obstacle to pursue that objective, right? So that produces that kind of possible friction between the United States and Israel. And again, produces also this contradictive dynamics, whereas on one hand, there is an attempt to establish peace, an attempt to normalize the relations between Lebanon and Israel. But on the other hand, there is a very strong push from the Israelis to continue to find a military approach to this situation and continue to use violence without limits against their objectives and their enemy, that is Hezbollah in Lebanon, without understanding that the political consequences of this may be even, they may be counterproductive for their own security and their own interest in that sense.
Filippo Dioniigi, we need to leave it there. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you on France 24 and share your knowledge and analysis, which we greatly appreciate. Filippo Dioniigi, lecturer in politics and international relations at the University of Bristol in southwestern England, but joining us, so we understand, from Denmark. Thank you, sir, very much indeed for being with us. We're watching the situation very closely. Just to give you